Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, we all have hopes. We all have dreams. Did you realize that you can make them come true? And it's not that difficult. And it actually works. People can tell you that. She can tell you that. I can tell you that. Things that you want in life. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's abundance. Maybe it's a new career, new job, whatever it might be. Anything is possible if you do this one thing. What is this one thing? We're talking about manifestation, manifesting what you want. All right. Sounds good. How do you do that? We're going to learn from her. She's a spiritual life coach, also a hypnotherapist, and so much more. Rhea Maceris is back with us on the program. Hey, Rhea, how you doing?
I am very pleased to be here. Thank you.
I manifested you being here, and then you appeared. No.
Actually, those are my words. I manifested you, so.
I know this stuff works, and I want to share it because I know a lot of people hear, oh, manifestation. Yeah, sure, right. Yeah, you think it and it becomes true, blah, blah, blah. So reverse engineer it. I used to think certain things. I used to say certain things or thoughts that I had. Maybe I was in a relationship, maybe thoughts that I had about a situation. And this is, going back, say, 10 years ish, whatever. And I'm just saying, say these things over in my head, that's what that is, or that's what that situation is doing. Not really positive things. It was just like repeating garbage. It all came true. Not in the most positive way. And it was the things that I would say. So that's my validation that this stuff works. And of course, I've since manifested things, and something that I'm involved with in a more positive way, I manifested. And it's showing up slowly, but it's here. Is it exactly what I'm looking for? I don't know so much. Will it be the thing? I don't know yet, but I am seeing pieces of, and I'm only talking maybe in the last year, manifesting this thing.
Interesting.
Okay. So it's a process. It takes time, but I wanted to share that for anybody that thinks that, this stuff isn't real. Be careful what you ask for. It's really what it comes down to.
Truly, right? Truly. And so, so we've to kind of recap, we've talked about the importance of beliefs and how powerful they are. We've talked about looking and improving to have positive self-talk. And so I'm going to suggest one of the, if I could only say one thing to help someone manifest, and this is going to sound rather cliche and probably simple, but it's to accept yourself.
Put that in context.
So, I want to explain that. So imagine we want to create a relationship. Let's use that as an example.
Fantastic.
We want someone to accept us, to understand us, to love us, to nurture us, to respect us. I could go on and on, right? We know what we want someone to give to us. So what if, and just imagine opening up your mind to imagine the idea of what if you gave that to yourself? And what I mean by that is I'm going to accept myself even when I make a mistake. I'm going to accept myself even when I may have said something from anger or from fear or from doubt.
Wow.
Which is probably not a happy place, right? I'm going to accept myself that I am enough right now in this moment. And if you can really, truly believe that and feel that, it's a powerful energy that we create within us. It's like a wholeness. It's literally accepting of ourselves. I mean, if you think about the irony of a relationship, if we want someone to accept us, we need to accept ourselves.
Very interesting, Rhea. And I've never heard that before. I've heard this, manifesting the person you want. I've also often heard, don't be too specific, blonde hair, blue eyes, don't do that. But all the qualities you want in them, yes. But that's an interesting point where you have to give yourself that. before somebody else is going to give you all those things that you're looking for.
And again, it's looking through the eyes of the energetics, because I'm all about the energetics.
Sure.
Everything is energy. And so when I'm accepting myself and loving myself, it's a higher vibrational energy than if I'm judging myself or criticizing myself or believing that little voice inside that wants me to believe I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, the things that we almost all learn from our childhood, like we've talked about, that not good enough.
Yeah.
So if I'm hanging out and believing that, that's where I'm hanging out and that's what I'm believing. And so when someone comes in and wants to love and accept us, if I'm not even, quote, in the same type of space, I'm going to self-sabotage it, or I'm going to push it away with my own doubts and my own fears. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to get into the proper practice of manifesting. But before we do, if you believe that things are transpiring in the direction you want, but it's not exactly what you're thinking, or you're not sure if this is it, or if you're thinking this could be it, but it may be outside of that. It seems like a negative to me. How do you approach it that way? I'm trying to make that clear.
So are you referring to the doubting aspect?
Yes. And again, you manifest, it appears that it's materializing, but you do have a doubt that this might not be exactly what you were manifesting. Could be, but might not be. But should you even go there? Just let it happen.
So let me kind of come back around to that. So the aspect of looking at the acceptance piece. So then when we have acceptance, we are accepting all of who we are. So we have even a deeper understanding of what we want and what we wish for in our life. So even that aspect becomes a little bit clearer. And then when we can put that out, what we want, there's a time piece that I've noticed that is at play. And so when we put something out, we need to continue believing it and feeling as if we already have it, because it takes 24 to 48 hours for it to transpire.
Give me that again, because I've never heard the timepiece thing. So let's.
Yeah, there's a timepiece to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
rewind. Let's go. Now, because now we're getting into the mechanics of manifestation. The mechanics
Yes.
of manifestation.
Yes.
And I've not. So I want to hear that again, clear.
Okay. So again, let's use the example of a relationship. I'm wishing for a certain type of relationship. And I actually did this many years ago when I manifested my son's father. I wrote down all the things I wished for. I put it under my bed. Like, someone told me to do that. And I thought, that sounds silly, but I did it. The next day I met him, honestly. We had a child.
I gotta go. I'm gonna get my pen and start writing. Anyway,
Oh.
I'm sorry. And what you just said, I've heard from other people.
Yes.
People that do what you do, that have told me that in a very short period of time, and voila, they showed up. And that was coming off a bad situation.
So let me explain why that was able to work, because I literally put it under my bed thinking, oh, I don't know. And so I didn't stay in that frame of mind. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. I literally let it go because I really didn't realize the power of it or the magic of it. So I let the idea go, forgot that it was even under my bed. And then I met him the next day. So anyway, so part of it is, it's that you mentioned the timing piece. I've heard, and I can't prove this, but I've heard this and I've watched this with numerous people and within my own life, that when we have a desire for something, it takes 24 to 48 hours for it to actually manifest and come into fruition. It's not like it's right here, right now. And that's where people get confused and get challenged, because it's that time element that can allow the doubts and the fears to come in. And then when we're in the doubts and the fears, we can't create it. Does that make sense?
20 to 48 hours is way reasonable. I'm thinking more, months. And, and what you're saying, this is part of the mechanics of the manifestation. And I was going to bring this up.
Yes.
But even before I go there, it's almost as if it's a message in a bottle. You put the message in the bottle,
Mm,
i.e., you put the message under your bed, and it appeared. Not
I like
not
that.
not always going to happen, but it can. Um, and that brings me to a question, but I think you pretty much answered it with that. In that, if you manifest something, you want something, it's already here. It's already here. I know
Yes,
it's here.
yes,
You write it down. You make it so it's a real deal, but then let it go.
yes. There's a lot of power in letting it go. The thoughts and not allowing the doubts and fears to come in.
Do you? And yes, when we say doubts and fears, a week, month, 2, 3 go by, you may say to yourself, when is he or she going to show up? When is this going to happen? Right away, you put the negative spin on it, and now it's almost as if you watered down your big, bodacious manifestation. But should you
I
bring
only
it up?
watered it, you flooded it.
No, okay. Well, thank you. Yes, I totally agree. And even coming from a place of lack, you never want to do that in terms of even
Right.
abundance, you know.
Yes.
But
Yes.
should you revisit it in the same positive way after a period of time, or that's it? I like just what you did. Yeah, under the bed. That's it, or wherever you want to put it, out into the universe, and I'll be waiting for you. Good. Should you go back to it?
That's a really good question. I guess if it's not showing up, there does need to be some relooking, some revisiting, some reshifting of how you put it out there. Because
Okay.
if it's not happening that quickly, then yes, you need to revisit perhaps in a new way and just practice it. It's kind of like a practice. It really is a practice at refining it. And I honestly believe from the bigger picture, this is one of the reasons we have chosen to be here is to learn how to create and work with energy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it all is. Your
Yeah.
energy is attracting something to you. And
Yes.
if you have negative energy, you're going to attract negativity or nothing. Um, Interesting concept that what we're talking about and how this all works. And you believe it, I believe it, just what you said. I know somebody that found the perfect person I'm not going to say the next day, within the next week, coming off of a really bad situation. Husband passed away, wasn't a great
Mhm.
relationship. There were challenges there, and then the new guy showed up. I've even had conversations. I know this sounds weird, but one night I was waiting, to pick up somebody, and I'm just, waiting in my car. I'm like, got some time to kill. I had a conversation with somebody in my passenger seat. There was nobody there. I was manifesting. I wanted to try it and see what it was like. And I got to tell you, it became real. Like it was almost like a back and forth conversation. I was like, talk about it. I know it sounds weird, but talk about it feeling real,
Yes.
feeling real.
So that's a primary piece in this manifesting that you just mentioned, Steve, is feeling and imagining you already have it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
already enough. Everything is perfect just the way it is. I mean, these are powerful words that we can tell ourselves. And it's not just the thinking like we've talked about, it's feeling it. I have everything I need right now in this moment.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be okay. Those are powerful words. And oftentimes when I'm doing inner journeys with people and their guidance come in and their support comes in, they use the most simplistic little terms like that at the end of the session to remember everything's okay just the way it is. Imagine how powerful that is, and
Mm.
really believe that, then you're already feeling as if you have everything you need. And so guess what? Then things just automatically can come in.
And that was one thing that really opened my eyes. That phrase, all I need is within me now. Even have it on
Yes,
my phone to remember it, but now I just totally remember it. And I'm trying to think, I don't know if it was Tony Robbins or whoever. And it's not like I religiously follow him. I just
sure.
heard it may have came from him, but to repeat it multiple times in a day, but do it in this way. Everything I need is within me now. Everything I need, everything is within me now. Just punch up each individual word till you get to the end of the sentence. All I need is within me now. That's the, all I need is within me now. All I need is within me now. All I need is within me now. And just repeat it. Go through it once, put it to the side,
And
and
feel it and feel
feel
it
it
and feel it.
and
Yes.
feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
I'm
interesting.
curious about the conversation you were having with
Well,
that.
I was manifesting the perfect person.
Wow.
And
And you were feeling it. And you were feeling it.
it seemed weird in the beginning, mildly weird. But then after a while,
I like it.
I almost heard that person talking and having a conversation. And it was, I was waiting for somebody killing time down by the beach. I was like, all right, well, hey, let me just, beach is over there. Oh, wait. And it
Yeah.
was like maybe, 3-5 minute conversation or whatever. But after a while, it started like, wow, this does seem real. And it's the same thing if somebody wants that big red sports car, instead of saying, I don't know, I can't afford it. How am I going to get that? It's just, that's not in my budget. I don't even know if I can afford any car right now. We'll flip that around. And that just brought back me a memory. I talked to somebody recently who manifested a Tesla, and I think it's a Model T3. I'm trying to remember which one it was. And she already had a Tesla, but she wanted that one. And she manifested it and worked her way. I mean, it wasn't like overnight, but all the pieces fell into place that she had the cash to buy it. I believe it's like 60 something thousand. And it's not like she's, financially, hey, everything's fantastic. So she's doing it right. But it happened. And she just manifested it. And yeah, how do you believe it's here? You're driving it right now. I'm driving that Tesla. I love the technology. Man, I can just punch up anything on the screen. It's driving itself, by the way. I have the T-tops down. Oh, somebody just waved to me. Hey, how's it going? I smell the car. I got the sound system, which is premium, by
Yeah.
the way. Nice and loud. It's a summer day. This really feels good. I can't wait to wash it later either. It's going to look even better. As if it's already here. And for
Yeah.
those who say, come on, that's all woo-woo. What do you have to lose by putting the
Exactly.
positivity out there?
That's the way I look at it. I look at it as just like we kind of like it's like playing the game of life. And why not playing the magic and try it? It's much more interesting and fun and creative even to hang out in the dreams and desires that you want and feeling them rather than hang out in the fear and the doubt. So even that's an option we make each and every day. Where are you going to hang out? What are you going to think about and feel about?
It's different when you go from thinking about it as if it's here, nothing wrong with that, or feeling like it's here. Because
Absolutely.
in some tiny little regard, it sort of does feel like it's here. It sort of
I
does.
love that you referred to a Tesla as well, because I was just thinking like in the realm of manifesting, I use Tesla as an example. So then it came
Oh,
out of your
wow.
mouth. I thought, we're thinking.
Uh, it's white, by the way. Just I'm throwing that out.
Okay.
Uh, but what about some other ways to manifest or not to manifest, where either somebody goes wrong or doesn't do it in the most effective way? Anything that stand out for you?
Well, it really is, like I mentioned, it's really becoming very aware of what your internal dialogue is about. Because if you're bringing in, say you write your list, you put it under the bed, and then you're doubting it or you're fearing it's not going to happen, that is what is going to self-sabotage it. That's how we self-sabotage, with
Everything.
our own minds and our own thoughts and thinking. So that is the primary ingredient that takes practice. And that's where I like to help people and
Mm,
practice that,
yeah.
because they're literally rewiring their thinking to go positive, to go to loving and acceptance and gratitude, those higher. By the way, are you writing your journal, your gratitude journal? You've talked about it.
I haven't
See?
done it yet. It's bad. It's bad. But I am going to do what you just said in terms of manifesting and throw it underneath the bed and put it somewhere,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think that is it's almost a symbolic thrown to the universe. I'm all about steps. Throw me the steps. What do I do? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Well, that's
Yes.
one of the steps. And I never thought of it in that way because that's what you're doing. You're taking it, throw it to the universe. Whatever the universe, whatever you think it is. If you're religious, some people say take all your problems and hand them to God.
And
Great,
so
if that works.
here's another fun element to that piece, that list that I wrote. I was pretty precise, except for a couple areas, and those 2 areas were not there. We obviously didn't make it, but you have to be really clear and right. Really, like you mentioned earlier about not wanting too much. Well, go for what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
really write it all out, every detail you can think of. Does it mean they're all going to show up? Who knows? I don't know, but it's worth
Hmm.
trying, you
I,
know?
you know, I think there's some latitude there. When I said, we talk about the perfect person relationship, don't include, unless it's, a game changer like non-smoker. All right, got you there. But in terms of hair color, eye color, who knows? Unless you're somebody, I need a guy with facial hair. That's it. And he's got to be tall. All right, if that's your thing, I think you need to have a little, you can waver a little bit, but it's more about the way they make you feel.
Yes.
That's the key. Like when, visualizing you see that person walk through the door for the 100th time and you still feel the same way. Like, wow, cool. I still have a certain feeling. That's what you need to put out there and verbalize it, put it down on paper. Because once you do, it makes it become real. It's legit.
And even to look at that too from the perspective of how they make me feel. Well, when you're choosing to feel gratitude and appreciation, then and that person is meeting you in that place, it enhances it even more. And they
Mm.
have to make you feel a certain way. You see the difference? That you're already choosing to feel that. And then, so then when that person walks in the door and you have those feelings, it amplifies them even more so. Does that make sense? I don't know if I've explained it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I wish I thought of that. Because I get what you're saying. You're coming from a good place as it is, and then that person or that thing amplifies those good place things that you already have. For example, if you're gracious, you have gratitude for your life and things in your life, and then perfect person comes along, or let's say that perfect car. Wow, it's even better. Life is even, if that's your thing, that car is your thing. I'm even more grateful for everything that I have. It just took it even notches up higher. Uh, Interesting way to look at things.
And also, Steve, I wanted to mention too that I do work with a lot of couples. And the
Hmm.
interesting piece in working with couples is that I work with them from the perspective of encouraging each of them to be in their best self. And then that's what they be in that's what they bring into the relationship rather than relying upon the other person to make them feel a certain way. So it's much more independent. And it's still loving and beautiful, but it's taking responsibility for your feelings because oftentimes in relationships, and I think this is a piece that I'm kind of perplexed by actually, that when people get together in a relationship, they put all of these expectations on each other of the way they think they're supposed to show up. So I really help them peel those layers down and realize that they can't put they have to find, not have to, but to choose to find those feelings within themselves and be their best instead of expecting someone else to quote make them feel good.
Hmm.
See what I'm
Which,
saying?
oh yeah, and that is kind of unfortunately, that's kind of the baseline for a lot of relationships. And in
That's
my
why
understanding,
most people break up. They try
that's
to
why.
change the other person.
Or there's things lacking in their lives due to past traumas, which you can uncover through hypnotherapy, and
Yes.
they're trying to find that in that person, or that comfortable spot in that person because it's tied to maybe not such a great thing in their past. It all kind of comes together.
Well, and even looking at like Hollywood, they have these movies tell us over and over again that someone is supposed to complete us. The Jerry
Yeah.
Maguires of the world,
Right. Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. You complete me.
and so I'm all about, let's find that wholeness within ourselves and then bring that together.
Right. I am complete, and you just make me feel even better.
Yes, there you go.
When a couple or you work with a couple, how does a couple know that they should reach out to you?
Ooh, good question. When they're in fight or flight is one. If they're triggered by each other is another. Um, if
Mm,
they're blaming each other for how they're feeling, like we were talking about, I mean, it can be a multitude of reasons, but ultimately it's coming down to they somehow think, or maybe they're still functioning from the idea of not good enough. And then so when they come together in relationships, they're thinking that person is making them feel whole, like I mentioned. And then suddenly when the honeymoon phase is over and they're not feeling that any longer, then they blame the other person, right?
mm,
Projection.
yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then it starts the storm, and now one
So
looking at one.
I'm a real reality check for them. You can't blame it on anyone else for how you're feeling. Take ownership for your feelings. And
Hmm.
there's power in that. I believe our vulnerability is probably one of our greatest gifts we can give ourselves, and be okay with it. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. It's what you do with it. You don't project it onto the other person. We're kind of
It,
going into another arena, but
yeah,
yeah,
no, totally, totally. Well, we're on the theme of relationships, as
yeah,
examples. But even when somebody cheats in a relationship, more time, at least in my view, and studying and researching, talking with people, usually it's because that person has issues in their life. They always blame it on the other. Well, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting that. Well, why? There's a reason. There's a reason. You didn't communicate, obviously, but more times than not, there's things going back to their past. Would you say that's kind of reasonable based on hypnotherapy and working with people?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I've heard and I've noticed, and when people have affairs, is that when they're with the other person, it's bringing out a different part of them that they like better.
Mm,
Maybe a freer part or a more independent part, because when you're in a marriage, you have the responsibilities and the challenges and all of that to look at. And then suddenly they're with someone where they can be
sure.
free and open, and so it's so in that context, that would be so helpful for that person to realize what is it that they're missing, that they're feeling with this other person, and find that feeling within themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or, I hate to say it, I'm going to say, these two words, because, talking to friends, it comes up a lot, and there's examples of it. Daddy issues too. If it's a woman, a lot of times it's traced back. There's something going on there. You don't know it as a woman. You haven't identified it. And same thing with a guy, but I'm just, one example. You always hear those two words put together, but there's some credence in that. If you look back.
Absolutely. I was raised in a big Catholic family. I was pretty much lost, and I didn't really even have a connection with my dad. So I was constantly trying to find it in relationships until I
Mm,
became aware and was able to put it into context. No wonder I keep crashing and burning, crashing and burning.
yeah. Yeah. I,
Yeah,
I
there's a
keep
lot of truth
pulling.
to that.
Guess what? Manifestation. You are attracting certain relationships that you're trying to find that comfortable spot, maybe that was missing in your childhood.
Absolutely.
And there you go.
Absolutely.
We're out of
Yeah.
time, Dan. We're out of time, damn it. I should have manifested another half hour. Rhea, what's your website?
ImagineGetaways.com. Please go
Yeah.
on there. There's a discovery button and hit it and set up a time and we can talk, and love to work with you.
And we talked about couples. A final thought here. You do these amazing retreats in Sedona, Arizona. Hello, if you're a couple and really want to work on your relationship, there's just one aspect here. You can be an individual single or even married and want to look at a different perspective. You do that. What a beautiful place to do it in Sedona. Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
Rhea, always great having you on. Interesting insight. I've talked about manifestation a lot, but you bring to light some points I've never even thought of or heard of. So for that, thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Super cool. All right. Look forward next time we talk.
All right. Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.